In much of the country, local elected offices are nonpartisan. Not every state, but in many states. That means that the two major parties or even third parties don't pick nominees to run. Anybody can run, and it's an open election. That's certainly the case here in Wisconsin, where I live. However, we have seen the local races here in my state and in many other areas of the country become much more partisan over the last few decades, and I want to talk about that today. Hi, my name is Brian Kennedy. I'm the mayor of Glendale, Wisconsin, president of Democratic Municipal Officials, and a member of the DNC. Follow me for local government and Democratic Party content. It makes sense that many states actually structured in their state statutes that local offices would be nonpartisan. Because you see, there isn't a partisan agenda to making sure the garbage gets picked up or that the roads get plowed. And so setting up that local governments would be based essentially on local community values absolutely makes sense. I would argue that the change really took place with the rise of the Tea Party movement. Barack Obama was elected president in 2008. 2010, we saw this huge movement of Tea Party folks running for office, not just for partisan offices in state legislatures and for Congress, but we also saw thousands of Republicans running in local races across the country for school board and city council, library boards, health department boards, etc., and running saying, I'm a Republican, and if you elect me, I'm going to make these changes. They really began to partisanize local, nonpartisan elected positions. That certainly was the case here in Wisconsin. I saw a lot of Republicans in the early 2010s running for office saying, if you elect me to school board, I'm going to ban these books that are bad for kids. The thing is, once they got in office, they realized that there wasn't really much in the library that was even questionable, right? Schools have trained librarians who put age-appropriate materials in elementary schools and in middle schools and in high schools. So schools, things you might see in a high school that are appropriate for teenagers, you wouldn't see in an elementary school. That kind of determination was already being done by skilled professionals who know what is age-appropriate for children. Same is true for city councils. You saw people run for city council saying, these people are spendthrifts. They're jacking up our taxes and wasting it on ridiculous stuff. And the thing is, once they got in office, they realized that no, we weren't. The state statutes already dictate that we have revenue limits in Wisconsin. So I really can't increase property taxes very much each year. It goes up maybe 1.5% at most. And that's based on a state law that doesn't allow me to raise taxes by very much. So we were already tightening our belts. So now you see many conservative areas of Wisconsin go out to referendum regularly, asking the voters to raise their property taxes because the conservatives who got in office realized that there wasn't enough money to do the things the community wanted them to do. But like I said, the rise of the Tea Party really led to a huge surge in partisan folks running for nonpartisan office, which brings me to the organization that I'm the head of, Democratic Municipal Officials, DMO. DMO's existed for decades. And there are many states where there are partisan local offices. So it made sense that there would be a municipal officials branch of the Democratic Party for the folks in those states. But we've seen a huge surge in our membership in the last 10 years as we've gotten much more involved in electoral work, helping Democrats who want to run for local office by providing them with a lot of resources on how to build their campaigns, how to run for office, how to message, how to talk to people, how to call up neighbors and friends and ask them to give to your campaign. How do you target certain voters, how you figure out who it is that actually votes in a local election as opposed to who votes for a presidential or gubernatorial election. And so we provide those kind of resources to help Democrats get elected to local office. The Republican Party has a similar organization that does similar things on their side. But it's interesting, though, to look at how all these nonpartisan seats have now become incredibly partisan.